Hello, Scorpio, and welcome to your reading. This is Bright Soul Collective Tarot, and my name is Laura, and these will be your intuitive insights and advice for the month of April 2022. So this reading will be for Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising. And as always, in general, just before we get started with the reading itself, do keep in mind these readings are general in nature, so not all of the information that comes through will pertain to you specifically. Definitely take anything and everything that does resonate, however that makes sense to your specific situation. Keep an open mind to anything that might be helpful to you, and simply leave the rest. So, Scorpio, happy spring. It's finally here. The tides are turning. I think we've all been kind of waiting for this. And of course, we're just at the very beginning, but change is in the air, which is nice. I hope March was good to you. I'm very excited to connect with your energy for April to see what might be coming in and to help you feel empowered to make the most of that. So I will start the reading off by sharing with you the channeled messages. So when I sat down to connect with your energy, these are the messages that came through, the impressions that I got before I even drew your oracle cards. So we'll start off with that. We'll read your oracle cards. We'll pull you some tarot and clarifiers and finish off with affirmations as usual, but I'm going to do something differently this time. At the very end, I'm actually going to pull a third and final oracle card, and instead of doing an open, like in-depth interpretation as I do for the oracle cards at the beginning, this final one, I'm just going to read directly from the book, and we're going to use that as like final insights and advice to kind of like tie everything together, because I'm always curious to see what kind of oracles come out at the end of a reading. A lot of times certain themes are often repeated, or like there are certain concepts that are emphasized, so it's kind of like nice validation at the end. And this is a practice that I do when I read for people in person. So I figured it would be good to include that right at the very end as like an extra little bit of guidance or validation. So Scorpio, as I was connecting with your energy and doing my rituals to prepare for this reading, the impression that I got from you guys and your energy was very interesting. So I am nearly done my readings, and I can confidently say that each and every sign has a very kind of unique and distinctive energy or vibe for this month, and yours was very different from anyone else's. So I got this sense of monotony. And it was like same shit, different day. So it's like Groundhog Day, like not a huge amount of excitement, not a huge amount of variety, just kind of like, slugging through the day, doing the same thing every day. Now the vibe that I got, it wasn't particularly like this could go hand in hand with like being really upset or feeling really resistant to that type of energy or reality. I didn't get a whole lot of emotion. I didn't get the sense that there's a whole lot of thinking about this situation and that like devolving into stress. And I also didn't get the sense that there's a whole lot of emotion tied to the situation, not necessarily because it's not there, but it's kind of like I get the impression that you're almost too tired to think or feel anything. Like you're just so drained and so focused on this kind of like monotonous thing or this monotonous task, this existence right now, that you're kind of just on autopilot, and it's kind of like path of least resistance making it through the day, and you don't necessarily have the time or energy to like really think about and connect with and feel a lot. So I don't know if that resonates for you, but that is the vibe that I was picking up on, and like a sense like there's almost a little bit of a detachment, like perhaps you've had to detach from your thoughts, your emotions, and your awareness, because the reality of day to day is like it's just a bit of a drag, maybe. I don't know. That's what I was picking up on. So we'll get into your messages. I'm not sure if that makes sense for you. The first thing that came through for you was actually a set of angel wings. So as soon as I closed my eyes, it was very interesting. So when you look at a light when your eyes are open, and then when you close your eyes, it's like the negative impression on your eyelids. So it's like you can see that light, but instead of being light, it shows up as shadow. So it was kind of like that, and it was almost like the image of angel wings like burned into my my eye. Like it was very bizarre. So it was kind of like it wasn't attached to anything. it was just a set of wings together. So they would have been like close together, like they would be placed on shoulder blades. And then like bigger at the top, long, and like kind of pointed at the bottom, like I don't know, like a traditional shape. So yeah, it could be a tattoo, it could be, I don't know, perhaps angel wings have some kind of significance. Perhaps you're somebody who's spiritual, who has a connection to or an appreciation to angels. I'm also gonna say, like, there seems to be a lot of like religious I don't know, like connection to religion in a lot of your channeled messages. You don't have to be religious. It could just be maybe a topic of debate. It could be something that you're fighting against. I don't know. It's just, it was like there's a lot there. So that was the first thing that came through. The next thing that came through made me think of the movie Hocus Pocus, because I like got the image of like three witches standing over a cauldron. So, and like casting spells and stuff. And it wasn't like in a really like nasty, devious kind of way. It wasn't like a very lighthearted, entertaining way, which is why I kind of like, I kind of can see that scene from Hocus Pocus in my head when they're like around the cauldron together. So I don't know if that has any significance to you, that movie, that scene in particular, something to do with witches, maybe Halloween, I don't know. The next thing that came through was forced reconciliation. And so the vibe that I got from this is it's like somebody that you don't like, somebody that you've gotten into a disagreement with, someone that rubs you the wrong way, or perhaps you rub them the wrong way. But it's like, this is not a person that you would have in your life by choice. Like it's just somebody that you don't jive with and you wouldn't choose to spend your time with, but you're connected to them in some way that is unavoidable, like perhaps through somebody who's close to you. So it's like inevitably they're going to be in your orbit and you're going to have to interact with them. And so it's like, if you've gotten into an argument or you don't get along well or you don't like each other, it's almost like the sense that maybe however you're connected to this person, maybe there are people around you that have been like encouraging you or forcing you to like reconcile with this person, or just like to deal with them and their stuff. Or maybe like you feel like you need to in order to keep the peace in those settings where you're going to be inevitably like interacting with this person. But the sense that I got is that it's not necessarily something like authentic that's like beneficial and healing for you. It's just for show. And so there could be a sense of resistance to like reconciling with somebody that you know that you don't like and that is not healthy for you to be around, just to kind of pacify other people. So you may be in that energy. That might be something that's coming up for you that you're going to have to figure out how to navigate. So yeah, interesting if that resonates for you. The next thing that came through, very, very bizarre to me, very interesting, was the phrase, God doesn't live here. And I thought, like, that's just a very strange thing. It's a strange thing to say. So like I said, there's like the religious connotation. So the sense that I get is like, you know, maybe somebody who's hostile about religion or spirituality, or, you know, belief in like a higher power, or, you know, like, you know, beyond our, what happens beyond our physical existence. Yeah, so the thing that I got is like either you yourself or someone close to you. It might be like a question of faith, lack of belief. But yeah, it kind of had this really I don't want to say negative undertone, but like it's very dismissive. So kind of like things are black and white. God isn't real. God doesn't live here. God isn't working magic on your life. There's nothing beyond this physical existence and what we can see and feel now, and anything else is pointless, right? Like that's kind of the vibe. So I didn't get the sense that that's you, but you might have people around you that are in that energy. That might be a challenge that you're up against this month, perhaps, like especially if you do have a connection to your spirituality. You might be living with somebody, or you might be dealing with somebody or surrounded by energy that is challenging you, or maybe trying to dismiss or put down your beliefs simply because it's something that they don't personally identify with. So that could be a source of conflict. I don't know. The next thing that came through was overt gestures. So overt gestures, like obvious, like it's obvious what someone is doing, or it's obvious why they're doing it, like what their intentions are. And the sense that I got is that this might be like, especially if you are tuned in, if you are like intuitive, if you're empathic, if you can kind of like, if you're sensitive to energies and you can kind of sense people's intentions. The sense that I got is that it's like this person doesn't necessarily, they might not even realize what their intention is, or what they're doing, or why they're doing it, or what kind of impact that it's having. And it might not necessarily be like a positive impact, but so this could be conscious or subconscious, like unconscious on their part, like what it is that they're doing. But it's like, I don't think they realize that it's obvious. So it's like they could be like openly trying to manipulate people, and they think that, you know, their cards are held close to their chest and that people can't tell what's really going on with them, but you know, because it's like to you it's obvious. Like their actions speak louder than their words. And like you've got a really good read on the situation, and it's like they think it's not obvious. They think that other people can't read them. So it might be a problem of like either they can't read themselves and they don't understand like why they're doing what they're doing, or they think that they're like being smart and concealing whatever's really going on. So it's kind of like the idea that it could, the behavior, whatever it is, the reasoning behind it and what's really going on could be obvious to everyone except for the perpetrator, kind of thing. The next thing that came through was forgettable faces. And the impression that I got from this is it's like, you know, when you're in an environment when you're meeting a bunch of people at once. So it's like you could be at a party and these are people that you're meeting for the first time that you know you're going to run into again. And it's kind of like making an effort to pay attention to people's names. And in situations like that, where like you're meeting a bunch of different people, it's like usually you can try and find like some kind of standout characteristic, or like something that someone said or done to kind of like help you remember their name, or to like categorize them. This is the sense that it's like there's so many people in such a short period of time that you can't possibly like keep track of each person and remember their names, or it's like maybe dealing with people who have like similar features, or there's no standout feature to help you remember. I'm getting the sense of like getting people mixed up, or forgetting names, or having difficulty keeping track of people. Yeah, I don't know how that might make sense to you. The next thing that came through was Old Man River, which is a song. You might want to Google it, like listen to it, look at the lyrics. I had no idea what it was about. And the gist that what I could kind of ascertain from it is that it's like the river is this powerful moving force that's almost like alive, and it's kind of like it must be holding secrets and wisdom and knowledge, but it doesn't divulge anything. And it's like everyone around is like toiling, and like it just kind of silently keeps moving. Like, I don't know, it was kind of, there's probably a lot of room for interpretation and like breaking that down and symbolism and so on, but I'm not sure if you have a connection to it, but it's like, yeah, it might be significant in some way. I'm not sure. The and then the other thing that had me thinking about it is like almost like I got this sense of like telling secrets to the river, right? Because it's like the river keeps on moving and it'll keep your secrets. It's not going to tell anyone anything. So it's like it could be like power of rivers, or like folklore, or something significant relating to rivers and their symbolism, and like people's connection to the river. I have no idea, but yeah. I don't have any real information to draw on to explain that further, but if that has significance to you, I'd be very curious to know. And the next thing that came through was Neptune. and it's like being ruled by water, which makes sense for you, Scorpio, because you are a water sign. You are ruled by like your emotions, your subconscious, intuition, all of that. And so I looked up Neptune in astrology because each of the astrological signs are ruled by a specific planet. And because Neptune is associated with water signs, I wasn't sure which one, so I Googled it to see if maybe it was yours, Scorpio, but actually, Neptune rules Pisces. So it's the planet of, it's like a psychic planet that rules like ideals, intuition, spirituality, compassion, and it kind of comes out in like our ideals and delusions. So it's like that could be an energy that you're connecting to or that you're heavily influenced by. It could be helping you in terms of your own like spiritual journey, spiritual connection, awareness of your own intuition, psychic abilities, psychic connection to other people. The next thing that came through was ordinances, and I've heard that word, but I had no context for it. Couldn't tell you what it means. And so it turns out it's actually like a law or a decree. So like basically something that is made a law, like a rule that needs to be followed. So that can be like in a legal sense, rules that you're bound by, legislation that you're bound by. And then it also has a religious connotation as well. So it's kind of like ordinances in religion are like the rites of passage. So it's like the things that people need to participate in to demonstrate their faith and their belief. So that would be like, for Catholics, like baptism, like first communion, confirmation, that kind of stuff. So it's like those major events where it's like you have to participate. It's like it has like that meaning, and it's basically like you professing your faith and agreeing to abide by the laws and the beliefs of and so on. So I'm not sure how that might apply if and that doesn't have to be strictly like in a religious context. It can also be like cultural in terms of expectations or things that it's kind of like ways of being, rules and expectations to be followed. The next thing that came through was Frangelico, like the liqueur, which I haven't had in ages. So I don't know if you have any connection to that. Perhaps it's a favorite of yours. Might be connected to a specific person. I don't know. The next thing that came through was the Sabbath. So again, we've got this like religious undertone, but I wasn't coming through it in a religious context. It's more like, the Sabbath is the day of rest. So it's like the day that you're not supposed to be working. So it's like, I can just say this based on my experience with my husband, and he was explaining to me that in Catholicism, Sunday is the Sabbath, it's the day of rest. It's like against the rules to like work or to spend money, and it's like you should be at home resting, spending time with your family, that kind of stuff. It's almost like a mandatory day of rest, and that would happen on a weekly basis. So the sense that I got from this is like making sure that you're taking time to rest on a regular basis, especially if you're not bound to like a 9 to 5 where you work regular hours and it's like you have X amount of hours each day that you're working, and then you have X days off per week. So it's like Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, you're working your job and getting paid. And like after hours, that is your time. And then, Saturday, Sunday, that is your time to rest. So it could be about making sure that you schedule time off, time for rest, give yourself days off, especially if you are an entrepreneur or you've got like weird hours. And this can also mean like being intentional about allowing yourself to take time to rest. So if you've got a lot on your plate and there's a lot of stuff that like can't possibly get done, it can be tempting to just continue working like indefinitely. And it's like, just because there are things on your list to do doesn't mean that you don't deserve a break. And that is a really important thing for you to be able to take a rest and to make the most of that rest, because that will allow you to come back to your to-do list and to kind of like feel renewed and be more efficient than you would be if you were just slugging through it constantly. So yeah, at least weekly, a day or period of rest, making sure that you are making that a priority. The next thing that came through was Enemy at the Gates, the movie. So I don't know if that could be a favorite of yours. Maybe it's something that you've that you've watched. Maybe you will be watching it. I have no idea what the connection is for you there. I know it's about like kind of like a face-off between. I know there's a love interest the two people are fighting over, and it's like a Russian sniper and a German sniper, like kind of facing off to some extent. And yeah, I don't know. The next thing that came through was mending fences. So the phrase mending fences refers to mending or repairing a relationship after there's been an argument or disagreement. So that could be also kind of tied into this forced reconciliation. But the sense that I got in this is like you're invested in it. It's somebody that you want to reconnect with. You don't want the relationship to be damaged. And so it's like taking that time to tend to the relationship and to kind of get back on the same page. And then the last thing that came through was, is it really going to be okay? Like a question, like, will it really be okay? And so I don't know if maybe you've been telling yourself that it'll be okay. Maybe other people have been telling you that it will be okay and you're still not feeling okay. And you're like, really? Are you sure? So yeah, maybe feeling a little bit of fear or doubt about if and how and when things are working out for you. I'm going to say yes, it will be okay. But yeah, that might be a struggle for you this month is all I'm saying. So we'll get into your cards. Your first one is Truth Be Told. And your second is Faith in the Process. Oh, interesting. Okay, so first off, both of these cards are fives. So 1 and 4 is 5, 3 and 2 is 5. In numerology, 5 is often the number of like change, instability. It can be like upheaval. It can be a little chaotic, like kind of being in a transitional space or like, yeah, any kind of space or experience that feels unsure, unstable. Things are in motion and things are kind of like disruptive and maybe even unclear, uncomfortable potentially. So that's kind of interesting. So for truth be told, when we talk about truth, there are personal truths and then there are like larger truths, right? And so your personal truth is what you think, what you feel, what you believe, what is true for you. And that is always going to be based on who you are at your core, your personality, your personal experiences, the experiences that have shaped you, the things that you've learned. That's always going to define and influence what your personal truth is. And that's why a lot of times your personal truth is going to be quite different from the personal truth of another person. And so it's basically saying like, sometimes we are tempted to wear a mask, perhaps to hide our personal truth or what we know to be true for us because we're trying to keep other people pleased or because we know that other people won't necessarily agree or we're trying to go along with what they have spoken as their truth. Or it could be even on a wider scale, because we have been taught to believe that we have to act a certain way or, follow a certain path, and we don't feel free or comfortable to speak our truth. We don't feel like that it's valid. Sometimes it can be difficult for us to trust it and that it's real and that it should have a place in our life. So this is about any way that you might be denying your truth, what matters to you, what influences you, what you want out of life, how you want things to unfold for you. And this is the way that your heart and your soul and your intuition speaks to you. It's related to the things that are most meaningful, the things that you feel most drawn to and passionate about. The things that kind of like fill you with joy or like that feel expansive, and can kind of like take you further into yourself, essentially. And this is about being willing to take the mask off, and like not feel obligated to put a mask on whatsoever, right? Because it's like you're not here to, abide by somebody else's truth or to accept someone else's truth. You're not here to worry about what other people think about you. You're here to step into your power and authenticity. And by speaking your truth and being honest about who you are and what you want, um, you just connect more with that energy. You give that the opportunity to kind of start impacting your experiences, your relationships, and really like your words and your actions are powerful. And if they are driven by and representative of your personal truth, then that allows you to come more into alignment with the things that are meaningful to you. So it's like, even when you consider relationships, when you're honest in a relationship about who you are, what holds value to you, what you want to feel and experience, how you want to be treated, like what your deal breakers are, that kind of stuff. You are giving the other person all of the information that they need to understand you and how you operate so that they can determine if they're willing to compromise, if they're willing to engage in a relationship with you, right? And it's kind of like there are never going to be two, like, you don't want to find your carbon copy, because if somebody's exactly the same as you, that doesn't really make for like a fun or dynamic relationship, right? And that's why relationships are work. A lot of people don't realize how much work having a healthy, happy relationship is, because it requires a lot of honesty, a lot of communication, a lot of working together to kind of figure out how things are going, where compromises need to be made to try and keep things in balance. And it requires two people to be not only honest and like willing to speak their own truth, but willing to hear the other person's truth, and then to like find a way to work together to kind of come into harmony together and move through the relationship in the world in a way that's going to honor both of those people and their needs. So it can't just be about one person. It can't just be about like your partner and like them getting everything that they want, and you just kind of have to like keep your mouth shut and go along with it and like put your desires on the back burner, and vice versa, right? Like that's not a healthy way to live, right? And like the worst thing that's going to come from you speaking your truth is that it might not jive with that other person, and they might decide like, hey, if this is what you want and this is how life is going to be, this is what I want and we're not matching up. So like we probably aren't going to be able to find a compromise. Well, maybe we shouldn't be together. And while that is a very difficult thing to experience and a realization to come to, ultimately, you don't want to be dishonoring yourself by tying yourself in a dynamic where, you're not going to be honored and you're not going to have the opportunity to be yourself and to connect with what's important to you with the support of your partner, and vice versa. They're not going to be able to have that either. So it's kind of better to come to the realization that maybe, like things won't work out. And this doesn't have to be pertaining to a relationship. This can be about a job. This can be with a boss or a coworker. This can be a friendship, like any kind of decision that needs to be made. This is about like what's right for you. But the sense is that, it's better to connect with your truth and to express that and to allow that to guide your way forward, whether that means you're connecting with someone or something, or you're rejecting or moving away from someone or something. It's like that is the highest form of honoring yourself. And the more that you connect with that energy and speak that truth, and make decisions from that place, the easier it becomes, because you're developing your relationship with yourself. And the more that you do that, the more that you're able to kind of discern what your truth is, what you need to connect with your intuition. And it just kind of becomes easier. Not only that, but it also draws in people who are kind of in a similar place, because when you're broadcasting what's important to you, that inevitably is visible. People pick up on that, and then you draw in people and support and resources that are looking to support you or looking for that energy in their lives and are likely to make space for it. And so this is just as much about speaking your truth as it is about hearing other people, giving other people a space to talk. And the neat thing is, when I said there's like personal truths and like larger truths, is the fact is that when you show up in that energy where you're speaking your truth, you're giving yourself the opportunity to be out there, to be seen by other people, and you give other people the opportunity to say that. It's like, in speaking your truth, a lot of times you can connect to a higher truth, a higher level of realization. So our truth is our power, because in speaking that, that impacts our reality, that impacts the people around us, that impacts what's available to us and the decisions that we make. And sometimes that can bring us to a higher level of understanding. And that's why when we're hiding or, putting on a mask, not only are we denying ourselves our truth, but it's like how that might change and how that might impact us on a grander scale, right? And like how that might illuminate more wide sweeping truths in terms of like, maybe even our purpose, something profound, right? And so, yeah, so this is about being honest with yourself. And this is also about identifying any areas where you feel like you're not able to be honest, or you feel timid to kind of share your voice or to be authentic or to speak your truth. It could be like shame, it could be fear or denial. It could be feeling as though you're responsible for protecting somebody else and like the truth may hurt them. And really just kind of being mindful about any dishonesty, any denial. Like if there's anything that you're in denial about and that can keep you stuck in a place where you're not kind of even connecting with your own truth. Those are themes to look out for this month. Those are emotions to look out for, triggers to kind of be mindful of, and anything that, you're feeling anxiety or denial about, and anything that you feel like is being withheld from you, if somebody is being dishonest with you or not clear. I think like speaking the truth and asking for that back from them, and having like honesty be something that you're not willing to compromise on. And that might just be a major theme and area for you to focus on. I think it's going to be really empowering for you. And with it coming up with faith in the process, I think that is like, it's very much tied to whatever you're experiencing like right now on a bigger level, because faith in the process, this card often comes up when things are feeling really challenging and really bleak. And it's like, you might be working really hard and putting a lot of effort in and trying to like achieve something or manifest something or move forward in some way. And it's like, you're just getting to the point where it's like, you've done everything you can, you've given everything you have. And like, you feel like it's just not going to work out or it's not going to happen because you don't have any more to give, right? And so it's kind of like feeling like you're at the end of your rope and you're on the verge of failure and worrying that it's not going to work out for you. And this is about saying like, you have done, if you are feeling that way, if you resonate with that, it's like, yes, you have. You've done a lot. You've done everything you can. You've done more than enough. This is not a question of how hard you've worked or how worthy you are, because when this card shows up, it basically says like, this is not about you. Like there is nothing more that you can do to move this situation ahead on your own. It's not something that you can do alone. It's not something that you have to do alone. And it's like, you're being asked to have faith because there's support available to you that you don't realize. And I feel like this is a theme for you, Scorpio, is like, you are heavily, like you're blessed, you're heavily supported whether you realize it or not. And so those times when you're feeling like really depleted and really run down and scared that things are not going to work out or that you're not going to be able to maintain, and like kind of getting in your head, it's like when you're in that space, I think the biggest thing to remind yourself is like, you're just really truly being asked to trust the process, like have faith. And this is like a big picture kind of thing. This is basically saying that like there are energies, benevolent energies of the universe that are available to you, that are supporting you. And basically like, that's what you need to rely on. It's like, you've done everything that you can. It's not in your hands any longer. You have to trust and turn it over to like a higher power. Like the thing that just came to mind is like, Jesus, take the wheel, right? Like, and it's like a joke, but it is a very serious energy. Like that is like, you have to have faith that you're going to receive the support that you need, because like, you can't limit it to what you know or how you've done things, right? So you might look at it and say like, I can't possibly do any more, and there's no way I'm going to come up with the money or the support or the resources that I need. But that's based on what you know. And see, with having support from a higher power, like the benevolence of life and the universe, like behind you, that type of energy is not limited by our physical reality. So things can happen in ways that you couldn't possibly understand. There's no limitation, right? That type of energy and spirit and all of that is not bound by the same laws that we are here in the physical world. And so it's basically saying, like, it is scary because you can't see how it would happen, but it's like you just have to kind of surrender and trust. And the thing is, that the thing that keeps you from receiving this support is doubt, right? Because as soon as fear creeps in, you disconnect from yourself, you disconnect from your truth, you disconnect from your purpose, you start to doubt, you start to like kind of shut down. And that is the exact opposite of what you're trying to do, because whatever this is that you're working on, it's a big thing. It's a large scale thing. It is meant to happen, and you are part of this. Like you are here to help this come into being, whether large or small scale. And so for that reason, because it's not just you, it's not just your individual endeavor for your own benefit, but because it's something that the world needs and that it's meant to be out there, you are receiving the support. So you might be the one here right now taking this on, or one of many, or one of few doing this work. But it's basically saying that because this is necessary, there is like a huge amount of power that this holds, and there's a huge amount of power behind you, supporting you, helping to make this happen. And right now, it's like time to turn it over to them. Time to turn it over to your guides, the universe, your ancestors, and like let them have your back. Because the more that you fully surrender and stop trying to take action or believe that like is something that you have to make happen in the physical world, the more open you are to receiving that help. And so it's kind of like the more you can detach from your feelings about it and your judgments and your fears and just kind of have faith and trust, the more that you're going to be able to see that support and those opportunities come in, because it could be very unexpected, very unlikely. It could come in very quickly. So it's like you're just being guided, like not to despair. And perhaps this whole thing is not only like this big scale thing, whatever it is that you're working on, whatever feels like it's stuck, or like you're on the verge of kind of collapse, like you can't maintain anymore. I think that it's providing a really good opportunity for you to connect further to yourself, to speak your truth, to stand in your power, and to allow that to start influencing your life more. Because I think, maybe, I don't know, maybe sharing your voice is something that you don't necessarily feel comfortable with. Maybe it's new to you. Maybe you've got people who kind of silence you or overpower you, and you haven't realized just how much like you have to share. But it's kind of like that's the whole purpose, right? And so maybe like rooting yourself into your truth, speaking that, and kind of putting that out there in like a take it or leave it kind of way. And not take it or leave it like my way or the highway, but it's like we can respect each other and compromise and work together. This is who I am, and this is what's important to me. This is who you are, and this is what's important to you. And I'm willing for us to work together to find a way if possible, and if not, we'll go separate ways, like whether business, pleasure, however that might apply. It's like that is really going to not only empower you, but it's going to allow you to have more say over the things that happen in your life, and have the ability to influence things for your own benefit, instead of like just taking care of everybody else, right? Like working your ass off for everyone else. So yeah, it's like, yes, it will all be okay. And it's like, you got to turn it over to this higher kind of power and trust that things will work out for you, even if you can't see how right now. So your first card is the Ace of Pentacles, which I really love. Let's see. Your second card is the Ace of Cups. And your third card is the Eight of Cups. And we'll get one more for you. Okay, your final card is the Eight of Swords. And on the bottom of the deck, we've got the Tower. Interesting. Yeah, so there's a practical component. There's a lot of emotional energy and thoughts. So that makes sense. So I'm going to get all of your clarifiers right now, right off the bat, and then I'll just read all the tarot cards together. So the Ace of Pentacles is clarified by the Five of Cups. Scorpio, I feel like this Five of Cups is just like a thorn in your side. Like, I feel like this keeps coming up. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like I've seen this guy before for you. The Ace of Cups is clarified by the Eight of Wands. Let's clarify the Eight of Cups. Eight of Cups is clarified by the Daughter of Wands, which is the Page of Wands. And the Eight of Swords. Let's clarify that. Oh, okay. Eight of Swords is clarified by the Devil, Capricorn energy, and the Father of Pentacles, so King of Pentacles, is at the bottom of the deck. Okay, so at the bottom of the deck, with us having the Tower and the King of Pentacles here, the Tower represents like a major shift. It can be a major loss, breakdown, shakeup. This can be in the physical world, so like loss of money, job, material items. It can be like a loss of a person or a relationship, a way of life, or it can be like a more internal energy in terms of like think of this strike of lightning. This can destroy a structure, it can destroy something, but it can also destroy concepts and beliefs. So sometimes it's like having an experience that kind of shakes you to your core, or it causes a revelation, or it causes your perception or your insights or your beliefs to be completely shifted. And even if they're not shifted from one place to another, even if they're just kind of struck down, like, no, like you realize the way that you were viewing the world is just not the way it really is. And you don't necessarily have the answer, but you know it's not what you used to believe, like that kind of thing. So it can be like a major shakeup and awakening in terms of that. And for that to be coming out with the Father of Pentacles, it tells me that it could very well be connected to your career, your finances. So like a major shakeup in terms of your material stability. It could be connected to somebody who's like an earth sign, like Taurus, Capricorn, or Virgo. It could also have to do with so like stability on the home front, family, material, possessions, like job. So it's kind of like whatever this shift is, or this loss, or this major change, it's like things are not the same, right? Excuse me, things cannot stay the same. Things are inevitably changed, whether physically or like perceptually or beliefs wise. And it's like you kind of have to rebuild or start fresh, or like integrate new information. And it's a big shakeup, and it could have to do, like, it could be in the realm of like your stability, your finances, your home life. I don't know how that might apply to you, but that's the way it's coming through. And so the interesting thing is, like, yeah, because this Father of Pentacles is very much like that practical earth energy, working hard to establish yourself in the world, to like, you know, have a house, have a good job, make your money, you know, be able to spend, but also be able to save, have like the material comforts of life. And it's like somebody who has been putting in the work. And so there might be something that's interfering with that or getting in the way, or like that is kind of like change that. And it's really interesting because you're being guided to come into the month with this kind of new seed, new intention, right? And it's kind of like the Father of Pentacles is the last, it's like the highest of the pentacles, right? So there's like ace through 10, and then there's page, knight, queen, and king. So the king is like the highest. So it's like you might have just completed a cycle. Maybe you accomplished something. Maybe that's what that is. But anyways, the idea is that it's kind of time for you to rebuild, right? Or start fresh or start new, like focus on a new goal, focus on something new, or it could be like a refreshed kind of idea or perspective or way to execute something that's already existing. But the thing that I really love about this is that literally we can think of this as a seed of intention that you are going to plant. So whatever you're trying to achieve, whatever you're trying to manifest, and it doesn't even have to be something physical that you're trying to manifest. It can also be like things that you're trying to bring into your life. So for example, it's like if you if you are at a place where it's like, I've accomplished everything I can, I've done everything I can, I don't have any more resources, I need help, I don't know how this is going to work, this place where you have to be, you know, in a place of faith, maybe that is part of the seed that you are planting. So it doesn't always have to be something material, because those intentions to be able to connect to yourself, connect to the resources that are available to you, to have faith, to have hope, and to connect with that. Although it's not tangible and rooted in the physical world, it's very important to the way that we show up and the decisions that we make, which ultimately impacts the physical things that we manifest. So whatever this is, it's like you'll kind of know, right? Because there will be some kind of inkling as to what you're trying to create, or like a new approach, a new idea, like the next step on your path. Because with faith in the process, this is basically saying like, you know, you're at the end of this stage, especially if you feel like it's a struggle. Things always feel like a struggle at the end of the cycle, because we're trying to kind of reconcile and integrate everything that we've experienced, to figure out what worked, what didn't work, to learn from those experiences, and to decide what we're gonna move into, or how we're gonna do things from this point forward. And this is about saying like, you're ready to kind of level up, and it's like this help and this support from like the upper realms that's going to help you move into the next stage of your life and kind of like start the next stage. And that's what this is all about. So being aware of and intentional about like what you're trying to create, what you're trying to build, what you want to experience, what you want your life to be like, because that really influences how things are going to progress for you. Because it's like the seed that you plant is ultimately the same seed that you're going to be tending, which is going to grow into a plant. So you kind of have to know what it is that you want to have as your end result, and be planting that to begin with, and to be sure that it's you know, it's going to be something that's beneficial to you. For it to come out with the 5 of Cups, it's bringing into your awareness any way that, you know, the decisions that you've made in the past, the seeds that you've planted, the intentions that you've had, the things that you've worked to manifest, any way that they might have been influenced by sadness or lack or loss, or even like pessimism. This can be a fear of loss, a fear of like unfortunate circumstances repeating themselves. It can be focusing on, yeah, like past disappointments, feeling a little bit downtrodden because the things that you did before, the things that you experienced before were hurtful and difficult and didn't work out for you, and it's hard to kind of have hope moving forward. So it's very much focusing on like the dark side of life. It can be feeling victimized by life. It can be like, yeah, having a difficult time connecting with hope and opportunity for love and abundance and fulfillment. And you see the horse is looking down sadly like into the darkness, and it's like he doesn't realize the light is here. He doesn't realize that there are all of these cups, which all symbolize opportunity for happiness, love, connection, depth, fulfillment, joy. And so it's like, if you are making decisions from a place where you're looking into this darkness, that is really going to heavily influence not only your beliefs about what's possible, but it's also going to kind of be infused into whatever intention you're setting, whatever seed you're planting. So it's like, you don't want to be in that energy making decisions, especially if you're trying to connect with like a happy, fulfilled life. You really need to kind of be aware of what that might look like and feel like. That is going to be hidden in your personal truth, right? So it's like being willing to stand up for what that is and to share that openly. And so like allowing that power to influence your decisions is going to impact what this seed is going to look like. But there is the opportunity to set new intentions, which is really beautiful, because we have the new moon at the very beginning of the month of April. New moons are all about setting intentions, planting seeds, deciding what it is that we're going to work toward this month, what we want to manifest and experience, and keeping that in mind and tending to that throughout the month. And also being finally in the month of spring. That's what it's all about. This is the time to plant seeds. This is the time to kind of like do the groundwork and the preparation to set ourselves up for success. And it's also the beginning of the astrological new year. So there's lots of opportunity for new beginning. Um, Funny enough, your challenge for this month is also about opportunities for new beginning, but this is a new beginning in love. So this can be in romantic love, like a new beginning, like a new opportunity for a relationship, connecting with a new person. This could be a renewal of love and connection in an existing relationship. This can also be love and connection, like, and it doesn't have to be romantic, but a lot of times it is. It just depends on what kind of relationships and you're participating in and how that's showing up, and what your desires are. But this is also kind of a renewed opportunity for love, like in connection to yourself, self-love, self-care, empowerment, speaking your truth, doing what's right to you, being guided by your heart, and the things that are going to be most meaningful and emotionally fulfilling to you. So that's going to be the challenge. So I don't know how that makes sense. Perhaps the situation that you're in right now, or the energy that you're in, you are kind of closed off to really experiencing a depth of love and emotion and joy and fulfillment. Maybe that's something that you're not really connected to, and that's why it's going to be a bit of a struggle or a block. Or it could be not necessarily you in your relationship to love, but perhaps somebody that you're involved with. It could be like recognizing the need for a renewal or a new opportunity in love, like kind of closing one door so that another one can open if there's something that you're wanting to experience that you haven't yet. And for it to come up with the Eight of Wands, the Eight of Wands is a very passionate, fast moving, kind of decisive energy, taking action. It can be about communication. It can be like a spark of inspiration or passion or intensity that kind of like drives you forward and bursts outward and kind of like impacts everything. So this, like, it can be a volatile energy, like, or it can be really productive. It just depends on the state that you're in. So perhaps your emotions are a little bit raw, maybe you're a little bit sensitive, maybe something kind of provokes you, and you come to this moment of passion and inspiration and realization that it's like you want a new beginning in love, or you're not happy with things the way they are and you're ready to start like fixing things or making things better or connecting with like a new energy, right? Starting fresh. But the sense that I get is like whatever that is for you and however that inspires you, whatever it's connected to, it's kind of like there might be a lot there. There might be a lot there on the inside, and it might be very, very quick to like manifest and be expressed. It could be like a major explosion of it could be a spark of illumination, or it could also be like a major explosion. It has the potential to impact the people around you, the places around you. And a lot of times with the Eight of Wands, it has to do with like communication. So it can be like giving and receiving communication. There might be like heated exchanges. I have no idea how that applies for you, but that is coming up for the challenge. So whatever kind of emotions that's bringing up in you, any kind of examples that might be in your day-to-day life based on your situation. But yes, it seems like there's opportunity not only for like a new manifestation in like the physical, but also in terms of love, your experience of love, how that is given and received with you, your relationship to yourself, and also with others. And in order for you to kind of navigate this challenge and manage it, you're actually being guided to like kind of recognize like what you need to walk away from. Like there might be something on an emotional level that's really draining or really toxic, or, you know, it's just it's not right for you anymore. And it's kind of like, this doesn't have to be an innately negative or detrimental thing. A lot of times this Eight of Cups, it's about saying like, you know, this thing was it. Like this was the thing that I really wanted. This was the thing that I was really invested in. I was really sure that it was going to make me happy. Like I invested in it. I took my time. I chose it. And it's like, you know, maybe it's not the be all end all. And it's kind of like being able to recognize when things have served their purpose, you know, and honoring that experience, but not committing to staying in it for that long. So that can be anything. It can be a job, it can be a relationship, it can be like a belief or a decision that you're making for yourself, how you're going to think about yourself in the world. But yeah, it's basically saying like something that you once thought was going to be the be all end all, and like you're kind of like happily ever after and going to be like, you know, igniting you with joy. It might not have turned out that way, or you might have just had that experience to help you grow and learn, maybe to like illuminate your personal truth further. And it's not meant to be taken any further than that. And the best thing that you can do is just recognize that, honor it, see what you've learned and what you've kind of ascertained from it, and to be willing to walk away from it. And in walking away from it, you're freeing up that energy, that time, that intention, and you're allowing yourself to walk toward the opportunity to connect with like kind of like this Ace of Cups, this new opportunity. So she's kind of walking out into the horizon, and there's nothing particularly on the horizon, but there's a sense that there's like the freedom to connect with something that is going to be really, really meaningful and loving and joyful and fulfilling. However that makes sense to you, whether it's like in an entrepreneurial or creative endeavor, or whether it's in love or relationships or self-love. And it's like, it's okay if this thing wasn't it, because it's like, if it wasn't it, or if you know that it's not right for you, and that's like your personal truth, then you were meant to have this experience simply to learn what you needed to learn and to come to that realization so that you can move on from it and move in the direction of your truth, right? And so it's like letting your truth guide you and trusting that like you'll be okay. You're going to continue along this path, because the next cup is the Nine of Cups. Sorry, the next card after the Eight is the Nine of Cups, which is the wish card. So it's kind of like, if you could have anything in this life, what would you want it to be? If dreams could come true, what would your dream look like? You know, what are you trying to manifest for yourself? And it's kind of got this magical element to it. And then the Ten of Cups is the happily ever after, like emotionally fulfilling, you know, relationships, family, home life, you know, connection to your intuition, your subconscious awareness, your emotions, right? It's like all of the good stuff. And so it's like you have to walk away from like those things that are not serving you so that you can free up your energy to connect with something better. But you have to have faith that there is something out there for you, and that the things that you want are available to you. And the reason that you want them is because they're meant for you. And in speaking your truth and allowing yourself to just move into that direction and away from whatever that is that's kind of not working out or limiting, because it's not a cup full of water, it's a cup full of fire. So maybe it kind of imploded, who knows? And there's no like, it can be a sad energy, but there's no real animosity, because there's a sense of like freedom, and like this is just what is right, you know? And for it to come out with the Daughter of Wands, this is all about what you're passionate about. And this can be tied to entrepreneurship or a creative endeavor, or the way that you express yourself creatively. And you know, this is kind of being at the beginning of that journey. So you haven't necessarily mastered it. You haven't gotten that like stability that you're looking for, or maybe mastered your craft, but like this is the direction that you've been heading in, and it's changing you, and it's changing your life. It's changing your approach, and it's kind of drawing you to be more passionate, to be more enthusiastic. And it's like you kind of need to embrace and speak your truth in order to move along this path, because the path of Wands is the path of like allowing that the things that spark your light and that make you happy and enthusiastic, making room for those in your life, allowing that energy to move you, and like kind of drawing more in. So it's like that is attached to whatever it is that you're leaving behind. It's kind of like not stifling your ability to, not stifling your creative process, not stifling your desires for love and happiness and passion and enthusiasm and all of that. So it's kind of like connecting with that energy, your spark and your charisma, your confidence, your ability to draw people in and to impact the people around you in a positive way. And the interesting thing is that the highest possible outcome for this month, given this energy, is basically being able to recognize and release yourself from the limiting beliefs that keep you feeling as though you're stuck or you don't have any options, or like things just have to be this way and there's nothing you can do about it. And these can be the very things that make you feel afraid to speak your truth, afraid to make decisions that honor your truth because it might like shake things up. It might mean walking away from certain things. And it's being able to see like, so she's looking in the mirror and she's bound by all of these crows, right? And those crows represent those limiting beliefs, those fears, judgments, criticisms. They're the perceptions about life that are limiting, that kind of keep us from being true to ourselves, from following our passion, that keep us in situations that are unhealthy. And they can feel real, they can feel like truths, and they can make us very afraid to be ourselves or to make change or do something differently. But they're not truths, right? They're beliefs, they're thoughts, and we ultimately have power. We have power over our mind. And if we have the ability to recognize, if we can take time to recognize the ways that we're holding ourselves back or that those thoughts are unhelpful to us, then we can change them, right? We can decide to change our mind because we can say like, this is just a belief. It's not true. And if I'm going to believe something, I'm going to connect with something that's true for me, something that's empowering, something that's aligned, something that's going to take me in the direction, of my highest good, of fulfillment, right? And it requires faith and trust in order to do that, to know that you're going to be held. And that when you follow your truth and the calling of your soul, that like the universe kind of conspires to support you in doing so, because that is connected to your purpose, right? Not shutting yourself off and being afraid of of taking whatever steps you feel drawn to take. And so it's just an illusion. These are all illusions because in reality, she's not bound by anything. But because she's looking in the mirror and she sees it as an illusion, she believes she's stuck. And the only thing that's keeping her stuck and bound and blind and unable to move forward is the belief that she is, right? So it's like in reality, she could look and see that she's not, but because this illusion is so convincing, she's committed herself to staying stuck, even though she has options. So it's kind of like you have the ability to start recognizing those very things and recognizing that they're not yours, recognizing you don't have to abide by those. You don't have to live in fear. You don't have to live in limitation. And that is going to, not only are you going to be freed from that, but it's like freed from any kind of like vice, any kind of addiction. So the devil has to do with like materialism. It has a lot to do with, it can be like, yeah, it can be addiction, like addiction through food and like hedonism, like kind of indulgence in the material side of things, like food, drinks, sex, material goods. It can be like indulgence in that. So it's like that might be something that you struggle with or someone in your immediate kind of area struggles with. But this is like being able to kind of resist temptation, right? And it's kind of being able to take action and make things happen in the material world, but it's balancing things out so that like you're not coercive, you're not being coerced by anyone, you're not being tempted or controlled by anyone, because the devil can be a very manipulative kind of energy. Sometimes it's outwardly kind of manipulative and it draws people in. Sometimes it's more subtle. And so this is kind of like the devil on your shoulder, right? That's like whispering in your ear, or like taking you off course, or introducing fear or doubt, or trying to kind of like get you to do the things that it's like denying yourself your truth, denying what's right for you, making decisions that are disempowering and that are ultimately kind of like, that are ultimately kind of like taking you off track. And this can also be like having an unhealthy focus on the material. So it's like maybe giving yourself a break from that. I don't know how that might apply to you. I don't know if it's yours, or I don't know if it's like an energy around you, but it's basically like not being tied to whatever this materialism is, whatever this temptation is, any kind of like hedonism, or maybe like going overboard. I don't know. However that makes sense to you is kind of it's a very weird energy. It must be very personal. I have a very personal application for each one of you. But it's kind of like, it could also be like not getting sucked into things that you know aren't right for you. So it's like being able to trust that when you speak your truth, you can stand firmly in that, and you'll know if something is right for you or not, and you'll be able to share that openly, and you're not going to let people tell you to do things that are not right for you, or coerce you into doing things that are not right for you, because you have faith that following your own truth is what's going to inevitably like set you free. And that you don't have to be bound to like the fear that this kind of energy introduces you to like give up your power and give in to something that you know isn't right for you. So, okay, I think that makes a lot of sense to me. Sometimes no is the most loving response. So yeah, you might have to be setting boundaries with specific people in order to honor your truth, right? Because it is better to say a confident no than like a half-hearted yes, right? So that is your power. Whenever I compare myself to others, I simply say this prayer: the light I see in them is a reflection of my inner light. Yeah, so if at any point you're feeling like a little bit worried or worn down, you're comparing yourself to somebody else who's doing well, and you're thinking like, oh, I'm not quite there yet. Anytime that like fear or doubt comes creeping in, if there's something that you see that you want, or that you admire, or that you wish that you had in other people or in other situations, it's knowing that the only reason you connect with that is because it's within you. It's within you. It's longing to be expressed. It's part of your personal truth, and it's something that like living your personal truth will connect you with further. And it's looking to the people who have that as kind of like already being in that energy. So there's no need for comparison, or, building someone else up or putting someone down, whether you or another person. It's just like, take it as a sign that like that's part of you, and that's why you can see it, and it's just you're on the journey to connecting and expressing that. I measure my success by how much fun I'm having. So yeah, there we go. It's kind of like that could be like the seed that you're planting, is like, these opportunities for fun and happiness and joy, this new opportunity here being the challenge, and that might be what you're needing to walk towards, right? My positive energy leaves a powerful impression on the world. Yeah, so it's like I kind of get the sense that there's like a lot of this heaviness, a lot of the, I don't know, maybe like manipulation or fear or like limitation might be very much tied to energies around you that are not necessarily yours. And that might be why it's so important for you to speak your truth, and to start like letting your energy guide the situation, because it seems like you do have a really powerful, positive energy, positive impact, which is not only like you deserve to benefit from that by infusing that into everything that you do and allowing that to shape a beautiful life for you, but it's not only you that's going to benefit. It's like being able to live your truth and share that with other people is inevitably going to inspire and impact them in a positive way. It sets a good example for them too. So it's not just you that this is for. And this kind of goes hand in hand. Like whatever you're doing is like a big scale thing. Like it is supported and it's meant to happen. And, kind of like for the good of more than just you, right? And then relationships are assignment for optimal growth and healing. So whatever you experience in a relationship is meant to help grow and advance your soul, just as it is the other person. So whether it's a relationship that lasts a short time or a long time, whether it's one that is really positive or like, really challenging. It's like we have the experiences that we need to have with other people to learn about ourselves and to grow and to heal. If a relationship gets to a point where it's stagnating, there is no growth, there is no healing, or one person is impeding the opportunity for connection and growth, or it's becoming like a toxic thing. It's like we're not meant to experience like pain and suffering and just commit to unhappiness and like a lack of health in relationships. It's like we are meant to grow, and sometimes growing and healing means that we need to leave things behind, people behind, jobs behind. So these experiences are for your growth, and they're taking you in the direction of your highest good and helping you connect with your truth. And this goes hand in hand with like sometimes you have to make decisions. So it's like you sharing your truth in a relationship. If somebody else speaks honestly, then like if you guys are not on the same page and it's not going to work, then you kind of are able to connect with a higher truth, which is that, okay, maybe this relationship isn't healthy for both of us, and let's do the empowered and healthy thing, honor each other by moving on. And again, that can apply to like any kind of interaction or decision that you have to make. So whatever you're experiencing in your relationships is driving you to some level of growth and realization, healing, and change. So there is, at least like keep faith in that and see what your relationships and your experiences are trying to teach you or tell you about yourself. Interesting. The crumbling. What are you clinging on to? This is the Tower. So like I said, whatever that loss is, whatever that change is, change in perception, change in circumstances, something that is very obvious and cannot be changed, cannot be undone, and inevitably you have to kind of be able to recuperate, right? Okay, so I'm going to read you directly from the book. I just need to find it here. The crumbling. Okay. What are you clinging on to? So the book says, there is a shift happening right now where anything inauthentic can no longer survive. Relationships, jobs, social structures, anything built on shaky ground is destined to tumble down. It's happening to bring you back home to who you truly are, both individually and to society as a whole, so you can live a life that is in alignment with who you truly are. When you're in the thick of it, it can feel like a personal attack from the universe. Have faith, because difficult times will be your defining moments. You will be reborn in the fire. Oh, geez. You're being called to surrender. Stop trying to hold it all together, to loosen your grip, to let the crumbling occur. It might be difficult at first. In the end, it might be difficult at first, but in the end, the sooner you let go, the sooner the rebirthing will occur. What are you trying to hold together? What are you doing your best to avoid? How are you trying to pretend everything is okay? You have what it takes to allow what is falling away to tumble and fall. Once the tower is crumbled, you will be able to rebuild your home on solid ground with mighty foundations, the seed here, and a view that is so magnificent that it will take your breath away each new morn. Kali, the goddess of destruction, and the Black Madonna are with you now. Lay it on their altar. They can hold it all. And the Work Your Light inquiry says, what are you clinging to for fear of nothing coming to take its place? That is so interesting because that is very much what this is about. It's like fear that nothing else is coming in for you. And like the sense that you have to really fully surrender and trust in order to allow the things that are not meant for you, the things that are falling away, the things that you're trying to keep together, even though they're not right for you. So it's like by just letting go and allowing that to fall away and having faith that things will work out, you're allowing things to take its course, and you're allowing yourself to grow and to have the opportunity to rebuild something better because you're gaining more knowledge of yourself and as this kind of energy progresses. And then when you have the opportunity to rebuild, you're going to have the opportunity to really make that something meaningful to you, something that's aligned to you, something that kind of like screams out like, this is who I am, this is what's important to me, and like being able to influence your life positively and trust that that is what's happening for you right now, whatever that is, however that's manifesting for you. Scorpio, I think that's a really lovely reading. Holy, like transformative, big stuff. Like your readings are always like wild. I really, really enjoy. So I hope that you enjoyed. If you did, please like the video. If you feel so inclined as to leave me a comment, that would be great. I would love to hear your feedback. If there's anyone you think might be interested in this content, feel free to share it with them. I read for all of the signs, and I'm trying to do at least one pick a card reading a month. If you haven't already, you can hop on over to my channel at Bright Soul Collective Tarot and take a look at my other videos. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can stay up to date on my new videos as they're posted. And so, Scorpio, as always, it has been a pleasure. I hope this month is good to you. I hope that you guys are feeling empowered to connect with and start living by your truth and trust that anything that falls away, anything that's not working out is just meant to fall away. It can be painful and difficult, but it's just having faith that you are being given a gift of being cleansed and allowing yourself to connect with that energy and to step into your truth so that you can rebuild and plant seeds that are going to take you in a direction that is, you know, more empowering or fulfilling for you. Yeah, it's very supported this month. So yeah, I hope April's good to you. It's been a pleasure to read for you. Thank you so much for sharing this time and space. I very much look forward to reading for you again next month. And in the meantime, I'm wishing you all the very best.